Okay. My back still is killing me. It's manageable, but it's just an irritating pain. Also too, corporate is cracking down on our manager and she's getting a little overwhelmed, so I don't want to ask her if I can take off this weekend because I feel bad. And as much as I don't want to, I think I'm gonna have to take a nap. Yep, look at that. Storm's coming. Hi Wanda, how are you today? I forgot to set my alarm and I slept for about 2.5 hours. God damn it. I got some stuff in the mail, but I was too lazy to film it today. Basically what I got was this tiny little tripod. I had one of these before, but then like I let somebody borrow it and I guess they thought that I gave them this, so then I never really bothered to ask them back. But in the end, I just bought another one. I think that this is a lot better because it's easier to install and I can just talk back and forth like this. And also too, like when I'm ready to actually like vlog, I can extend the legs out like that to give myself a little bit more of a reach. I still have a decent amount of space while I'm vlogging. I don't know. I'm gonna test it out and see, and if not, it'll still come in handy. Thing too is if I'm gonna do time lapses with this, it's so much easier for me to just set it up like that. I almost became this competitive swimmer at one point in my life, literally by going out to the beach every single day for about 9 months and swimming to a windsock. The reason why I ended up doing that was because I watched this anime called Free, and it was about competitive swimming. And I realized I don't really know how to swim. I can kind of drift and float in the water, but I can't quite swim. And I live on an island, so it seems like I should know how to do that. And because I didn't quite have much technique, I resorted to Ice Age.
Claw! Kick! Claw! Kick! Hey! I'm stuck in the brake!
It was weird saying that, but I actually did watch Ice Age. And so I kind of implemented that doggy paddle strategy in the very beginning of my progression to being a competitive swimmer. I very quickly found out that that's not how you swim. So then I ended up watching a bunch of old people swim back and forth in the water. And after about a couple weeks of that, I kind of got the hang of it. I think it was about maybe, was it like a month or two in, where I actually attempted to swim to this windsock. It's down by this place called Kaimana Beach. There's a windsock about a mile out or something like that. I have no idea how far it was. I just remember the first time that I did that, I almost drowned, because as you get closer to the windsock, there's reef. There's like a coral reef that the pole is stuck in, and those reefs create waves. But when you're in that position, it's either you drown or you make it to the end. And so with the last bit of strength that I had, I pushed myself to the windsock and I hung on to there for dear life as I regained my energy. And at that moment, I realized that I wanted to get better at swimming. I wanted to actually get to a point where I could swim back and forth like with no problem. I ended up doing this almost 6 times a week for about maybe a month and a half, but I was always struggling towards the ending until I observed this one guy who would duck under the water every time the wave would come and he'd pop out on the other side. So the next thing I learned was how to do that. I learned how to dive underneath the water when the waves came, and after repetition I got decently good at it, and I didn't exhaust myself every time I was going out to that windsock. I remember one time too, this really freaked me out, but I ducked my head underwater and I almost collided with a sea turtle. That was scary. Those things are pretty big in real life. So about 3 months of swimming like that, I actually decided that I wanted to learn how to do the different strokes. What I did was I watched a ton of YouTube tutorials on how to do like the butterfly, the breaststroke, the backstroke. Problem is, when you're in the ocean, it's very hard to keep those forms when the waves are disrupting you. And at this point, what I did was I would go to the beach after work, swim for about a half an hour, and then after that, I would go home, I'd eat dinner, and then I'd head out to one of the pools that were open, and I'd do laps there. Let it be known that if you think you can swim because you swim in the ocean, you will learn very quickly when you get into a non-salt water pool how fast you can sink. For about a week, I had to relearn how to actually swim in a pool. There would be a decent amount of people going to the pools, one of them being a former competitive swimmer. He would always have the farthest lane to the right, and I would usually stay within the middle too. He had like a waterproof watch on, and he would like hit that, and he'd do his laps, rest for a bit, go and do his laps again, rest for a bit, go and do his laps again, and then he'd like stop his watch. I remember one day I decided to ask him if he could show me how he does the butterfly stroke, because that was the one stroke that I couldn't move forward with. I remember doing it, I'd move like 4 feet and then I would just splash around, not really being able to like, to maneuver in the water. He was moving pretty fast doing the butterfly. For anybody who doesn't know what the butterfly stroke is, it's the most ridiculous and hardest stroke known to man. I don't know why it exists, because I feel like that actually would hinder you in any situation. If you've been knocked off a boat and you're trying to swim to shore, the last thing you would want to do is a butterfly stroke. And so I asked him, and he gave me some really good tips, not only with the butterfly stroke, but also two things like how to have proper posture when you're swimming to prevent drag from the water currents. And I would follow what stroke he was doing as we were going back and forth in the pool. I was never able to beat him. There were times where I got pretty close to matching his speed going back and forth. And I remember too, I asked him, I was like, hey, would I ever be fast enough to compete? And his reply was that, well, you've been keeping up with me pretty well so far. I'd say that you could compete now. And I remember going home thinking like, wow, could I actually have a career in being a competitive swimmer? And then one day I got to the beach and I thought to myself, you know what? I think I'm good. I think that I've done enough swimming. I was like wearing my compression shorts to work, and it also like compression shorts, like when you're not in the water, are very uncomfortable, especially when you start sweating because your butt gets itchy. Like the fabric just does not feel good when you're sitting down for a long period of time. And I remember just thinking to myself, yeah, this is enough. I felt like I had done what I set out to do. I had set the goal of being a good swimmer and I accomplished it. Since then, I never really cared to go back into the water or like to actually swim. I don't know why I wanted to share that story with you guys. It just popped into my head. I guess too, like the vlog is kind of my way of getting to that point of being goal driven. And that's why I kind of wonder what's going to happen after the 100 days of vlogging. Like, will I just like turn off the camera and never come back to YouTube? Will I just upload on the new channel that I have? You know, I do have a second channel. For those of you who didn't know, you can go click right up here, subscribe to that channel, because that channel just might have a use after these 100 vlogs. I don't know. What swimming has taught me is that you can excel at anything in life as long as you just put forth the work. As long as you just have laser focus on one thing, you'll be able to accomplish it. But how far you'll go, that's up to you. I think that for some people, it'll never be enough. They'll always have to climb the next Mount Everest. They'll always have to climb the next big thing. At what point does it get to where you're able to say that it's okay to walk away from something because you've done it? And I think that for a lot of us out there, anybody who's watching, look at your life and see what you've been relentlessly pursuing and ask yourself, has it been enough? I'd be interested to see what people say in the comments below. If you have any similar stories to this, please share them. With that said though, I hope that you guys enjoyed today's episode. It didn't, like lately these videos have just not been going in the direction I think they are, but I think I've gotten so into the habit of vlogging that I just let whatever comes out come out. So thank you guys for watching. See you tomorrow. Headbutt out!